This year, I ran about 600 miles total in about 125 hours. If you're interested in being more energetic, having a stronger heart and lungs, running faster, weight loss, and the many other benefits of running, I wanted to share a few things I've learned from my running journey this year that can hopefully help you with your fitness journey. How to start running and then be consistent. If you're anything like me, it can be hard to get back into a habit that you have fallen out of or just maybe never had to begin with. Now, what I did was set a goal for how many hours that I would run each month and each week. I started off only doing about 3 hours per week and then gradually worked my way up to about 5 hours per week. And the key things that kept me consistent was that I chose a realistic amount of running to begin with because I knew that 3 hours per week was very doable for me, and I tracked my progress. Now, if you're someone who has never been a runner or you're just not in great shape, the best way to start running may just be to start walking. Then when you're ready to start running, a good weekly mileage for beginners is about 3 to 5 miles per week. And then if you wanted to increase your weekly mileage, it's recommended that you increase that by 10% maximum each week to avoid injury. My experience with Zone 2 cardio. Another thing I learned a lot about this year is Zone 2 cardio. For those who don't know, Zone 2 is a heart rate training zone, which is around 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. It's a low level of intensity where you'll be a little bit out of breath, but can still hold a conversation. Zone 2 cardio is perfect for building your aerobic base so that when you decide to do that 5K, that 10K, that half marathon, or that marathon, your body will be able to run faster and will be able to handle the stress much better. And when you're training in Zone 2, your body is primarily using fat for fuel. So it's great for weight management, burning body fat, and general health. And because Zone 2 cardio is low intensity, there's also a much lower injury risk, and the body can recover much more quickly from those workouts. To find your Zone 2 heart rate, there's a few different formulas that you could use. Personally, I chose the Maftone method, aka the MAF 180 formula. And with this formula, you take 180 minus your age, and whatever number you get is your maximum aerobic heart rate. For example, if you're 35 years old, you take 180 minus 35, you get 145, and this means that your maximum aerobic heart rate and the upper end of your Zone 2 heart rate range is about 145 beats per minute. The general recommendation is to do about 80% of your workouts in Zone 2 and then 20% in higher intensities. If you're a beginner runner though, and you're not doing that high a volume, that 80% 20% ratio doesn't really matter as much. Now you might be wondering, how much can a person's Zone 2 pace realistically improve within a year? Using myself as an example, I can tell you this. At the beginning of the year, my average Zone 2 pace was about 15 to 16 minutes per mile, which is quite slow. It's barely faster than walking. And for some of you, walking may be as fast as you can go in the beginning to stay in Zone 2, and that's totally okay. After about 6 months, my Zone 2 pace had improved to about 13 to 14 minutes per mile. And now, about 1 year later, on most days, I can run a sub 13 minute mile pace and still be in Zone 2. So for me, that was roughly a 3 to 4 minute per mile improvement over the course of 1 year in my Zone 2 pace, which is a pretty great improvement. And I also realized that Zone 2 training definitely works better and better the more volume that you do. Once again, if you do a very low volume, I don't think it matters quite as much. But once you start getting into the higher and higher volumes, it really does make a positive difference. Now, I just briefly wanted to talk about my experience of trying to build muscle while running, and if the running itself helped me to build any muscle. Around halfway through the year, I started doing a high volume of Bulgarian split squats about every other day because I wanted to build my leg strength and put some more muscle on my legs. And during that time, my legs did grow in size and strength. And I was still doing my slow Zone 2 running during this time period. So while the slow, easy running didn't help me to build muscle, it also didn't stop me from building muscle in other ways. I also wanted to note that during that time, I was doing a lot more striding and sprinting. And in my experience, running really fast like sprinting does help me to put on a little bit of muscle. So the slow Zone 2 easy running likely won't help you build muscle, but as long as you're eating right and as long as you're getting enough protein, it likely won't stop you from building muscle in other ways, unless you're doing an extremely high volume of Zone 2 running. On the other hand, when you sprint, that will help you to build muscle because it's working a completely different energy system in your body than when you're doing slow running, and sprinting triggers hormones like like testosterone and HGH. How to breathe when running. For most of the year, and most of my life for that matter, I always figured that how to breathe when running was something that people just kind of figured out naturally. And I think for the most part, that is true. Especially when doing slow zone 2 easy running, I found it best to just let my body breathe naturally and to not overthink it. However, there is a breathing technique or breathing pattern that I did find to be very helpful when I was trying to push really hard and run fast. And that is the 3x2 or 2x2 pattern, which is inhaling every 3 steps, then exhaling every 2 steps, or inhaling every 2 steps and exhaling every 2 steps. Doing this can help you maximize oxygen uptake, slow down fatigue, and it can even prevent cramping. So, what does running do to your body in general? Or at least, I can tell you what did running do to my body in general, not just this year, but in past years when I was running more consistently as well. It helped me to keep my weight under control, kept me slimmer, my energy and my vitality was higher, and I just felt better in general. My mind and my brain were functioning better. I was more optimistic. I was more emotionally and mentally healthier. And of course, running has made my heart and my lungs undeniably stronger and more resilient as well. In fact, back in 2021 and 2022, which were the last years that I was consistent with running before this year, I remember I looked better and I simply just felt better in general than I did in 2023 and 2024 when I was not running as consistently. So what will running do to your body? It will make your heart and your lungs more resilient and stronger. It will make your body more energetic, more attractive, and it will also complement whatever strength training that you're doing to make your body stronger as well. It will likely raise your mental health. It will help you have even more mental clarity. Your brain will be functioning more clearly. Your mind will feel clearer. And as long as you're careful about stretching, warming up before your hard runs, proper nutrition, and just not overdoing it in general, you will likely not have any significant injuries and will have a great experience with running that you will not regret.